Hey everyone, Alex Buy Stuff here, and today's subject is cars and bids. In my experience selling my BMW M5 there. Today we're going to talk about some pros and cons. I just want to first of all say that if you're interested in selling your car and you don't want to watch this entire video, the very fast summary of this video is it worked out pretty well. It's a good website, it's legit. Go ahead and give it a try if you want to sell your car there. But keep in mind that if you're selling your car on Auto Trader, Craigslist, other places like that, they do require that you take all of your other listings down from sale before you're able to do that. So anyway, let's talk about some of the pros and cons with working with Cars and Bids. So number one, for pros, the seller price, the price of actually working with them is only $49 to $89. So I'm gonna go ahead. Here's CarsandBids.com. Sell a car at the top there, and as I mentioned, 49 bucks is the lowest and 89 is the highest. And so $49 is for a no reserve listing or someone that's sold with them before. $89 is for reserve listings from first time sellers. So if you want to do a second sale and you want it to have a reserve, you can do that at 49. Very good price compared to a lot of other things out there. Not as cheap as $5 on Craigslist, but it's probably pretty similar like Auto Trader and other places like that. And it's, I don't know what the main competitors I would say to this are probably Car Marketplace and Bring a Trailer. I don't off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what they are, but they're probably in that similar ballpark. But anyway, if you're selling a car that's an enthusiast type car, this is a good place for you. And 49 to 89 bucks is pretty cheap. I'm sure you can stomach that. So anyway, next thing I want to talk about was that you actually get a real person you work with. It's like a rep or a sales agent, whatever you want to call it. So when you get your car listed on here, it's not just a robot. You click a bunch of buttons and you're done. There's a real person that's working with you to make sure that the information you're providing is accurate and it's good enough for what they want their community to have. So they want you to have a ton of pictures. I'm sure if you're an enthusiast, a car enthusiast, that you've bought a car before, maybe you've bought a car before sight unseen, and you wanted to see a lot of different pictures to make sure it's not damaged and that the seller is being accurate with what they're representing, right? So I had 105 pictures. Let's see if I can get that on the screen for you there. Right here. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Right there. Yeah. So I had 105 pictures, and so yeah, that's a lot of photos, right? That's the most photos I've ever done for any car website that I've ever sold a car on, and I think it was a good idea. I would definitely, I think in the future when I sell a car, whether I put it on Craigslist or somewhere else, I'll probably take a similar amount of photos at the beginning to be prepared. So the photos are really good, and just the overall amount of information on the listing is pretty good. They have their little Doug's Take thing here too, Doug DeMiro. I don't think Doug actually writes this in all honesty, but that's fine. Who cares? They did have a little bit of some typos in the original version of this, and I corrected them and gave them some research to back up the differences. I think they thought the horsepower was lower than it was, that type of thing. So I had them fix it, and they agreed. So they fixed it, and then there's a bunch of highlights. This is mostly things that I gave them, but I think that they actually go a little. If let's say you don't give them a lot to work with, I think they're going to actually go out of their way to give you a lot of information. They also really do a good job of going after the flaws. So they'll look through the pictures and the videos that you give them, and they'll write some of the flaws on here if you didn't say them. So look, like my car had some stone chips on the front end, scratches on the left corner, front plastic skid plate damaged, curb rash on wheels, wear and stain on driver's seat. And then they even go over service history and what's included. It's pretty good. Like here's a video I had, which was this video right here, where I was just, kind of walking around the car and talking with people about the things on the car. So they included that, and they even have a questions and answers spot, which is pretty cool. Why such a quick sale? My answer, I bought an R6 Avant, which I've already sold as well, by the way. I have a different video about the R6 Avant and my kind of weird experience with them. In any case, back to Cars and Bids. So it's a pretty large community for being such a new community. I think it's been less than a year since Doug DeMiro started this, and so I was a little bit hesitant to try them out because I figured how many people could really be on here. Well, I think it's actually a very large amount of people are looking at Cars and Bids already. And the reason why I say that is because I got 127 comments on this sale. That's very impressive. Compare that to another car I sold recently on Car Marketplace. I think I got like 5 comments on that, and that car that I sold on PCAR was arguably more popular. So this is just a really active community. So that moves into the next pro. Not only is the community active, it's positive. I'm sure a lot of you have had experiences being on forums for car forums and experiencing the trolls and the haters and all sorts of things like that, right? This was actually really impressive with how nice people were and the positive things that people said. Let's just take a quick glance at some of these comments. There's so many, we're not going to go through all, but these are just random comments I'm picking out. Wow, this M5 lost 2/3 of its value in just 5 years with an average miles driven. A super bargain for the new owner, as this was just over the average price of a new vehicle. That may have started out sounding negative, but it really wasn't. He was saying the buyer got a good deal, and that's a positive comment in my opinion. If I was the guy that paid 130 grand for this car when it was new, then maybe that comment wouldn't feel so positive to me as the seller. But I paid 43 grand for it about a year ago, so 42 is okay for me, right? So next guy, I'm not a BMW guy, but this car is very impressive. The new owner will have a lot of fun. Very nice thing to say. A bunch of people on here saying good luck with sale, congratulations. Let's see. Yeah, you bought a whole lot of supercar for the money. Another guy watching this listing had an M5 as well, thinking he wants to give it a try, selling his car on here. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. Well bought. It's a shame these special edition M5s aren't bringing much more than regular M5s. I remember these cars came out. They were bought at a premium price. Yeah, I actually thought I might get a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, my reserve was I think 40,000 maybe. So it went over my reserve. I was okay with it. So anyway, this guy said rip previous owner. I think he probably thought I paid full price. So this guy says a very sweet car for that kind of money. Anyway, I'll stop reading all these comments, but overall, I was really impressed with the things that people were saying, and I was very active responding to them because I liked it. So moving on, I guess I already talked about the listings. Just very professional. It looks really good. It's a very clean layout. Colors and everything are great. And then the last pro thing here is just that the results speak for themselves. I was able to sell the car and get a price that was acceptable for me and move it out the door. I don't know if any of you guys have tried selling a car before where just, months and months or maybe even a year go by and it takes forever to sell it. I've had that happen before. I had an X5 that I think it took over a year for me to sell it. It was just, I guess it was a niche car. It was a 35 diesel. And maybe not a lot of people wanted a diesel. So anyway, this was great. I probably would use it again. And let's just move on to the cons now. So one of the cons is 4.5% buyer's fee, starting at $225 and maxing out at $4,500. That's a lot of money for a fee. They are specifically saying it's far below other auction houses and enthusiast car auction websites. Let's see what eBay car buyer fee is. So just to compare the fees on the other websites, eBay has no fee for the buyer. I guess that seems pretty obvious. The seller fee is only up to $125. PCAR Marketplace and Bring a Trailer are both the same, where they charge 5% to the buyer and it goes up to $5,000 with a minimum of $500. So Bring a Trailer and PCAR Marketplace, basically exactly the same. Oh, sorry, except Bring a Trailer is minimum of $250. Also, Bring a Trailer is $99 listing fee, and if you want to do a special photo option thing, it goes up to $250. PCAR Marketplace, doesn't matter. I think it's around $100 or something like that. It's not a big deal. The seller fees aren't that big. It's really the buyer's fees that are huge, up to $5,000. So I could see why CarsandBids went a little bit lower, just barely undercutting them, just to be a more aggressive, bring more customers, that type of thing. So anyway, let's move on. So the next con is that the listing process took a while, meaning that, I mentioned there were 105 photos. I really wish they would have been a little bit more clear about which photos they needed on day one, because I had now moved this car out to the street instead of being parked in a garage, and my RS6 Avant was parked in the garage. I didn't want to park this in the garage anymore, so it was getting dirty. It rained a couple times. I detailed the car, took a bunch of the pictures, and then they said, hey, we need more. And the car was dirty, so I need to go clean the car again. And then I took those pictures, and then there were some other pictures they forgot to tell me they wanted to. I had to go clean the car again. Very frustrating. It took a whole week from day one to when the car is actually going up for sale. If they would have just been more clear about what pictures they needed from on day one, I could have got all that stuff done. And I had to run around washing the car all the time. So that's just my experience. They may have gotten better about that. I really wish they had some sort of thing built into the app where they would say like, click to upload picture on a bunch of different boxes, and it would say like, upload a picture for the front bumper, upload a picture for the rear bumper, left tire, right tire, like they would tell you exactly what they want, and then you upload to that one thing, and then when you have every box with a picture in it, then you're done, and they go and check the pictures. That would have been cool. So that could be better. It's probably a nitpicky thing though. And then finally, the buyer can still back out of the deal technically. So like the buyer that bought the car from me, he didn't have his financing approved. And that made me pretty nervous. And he literally said he was nervous and worried. So he bought the car from me, and he went through some lender and the lender took a couple days to approve him. And then he was able to send me a cashier's check. Now, this buyer was out of state. I'm in California. He's in New York. His lender he was using was from Pennsylvania. It was a small lender. I got the cashier's check in the mail. I took it to Wells Fargo, my bank. They said that they ran it through some some cashier's checking system that scans the check and says how many times they've seen a check like this before from this bank. And they had literally never seen that check ever in the history of Wells Fargo nationwide, which says that this lender is extremely small because Wells Fargo is huge. And then they flagged that as very risky. And then because their lender is not in California, the cashier's check doesn't clear like most other cashier's checks I've ever experienced before, which is instantly. Cashier's check's usually like, this is cash that I'm handing you, but it's a check, right? It doesn't take 7 days to clear like the typical check you're thinking of. Well, in this case, it took 2 weeks to clear because Wells Fargo has no idea who the lender is and it's out of state. That was pretty frustrating for the buyer and for me. And the buyer was kind of trying to pressure me into letting him pick up the car. Word to the wise, guys, never release a car to someone until you have the money. That thing could have been a scam, and I would be out the money. Make sure that if you're checking your bank account, it doesn't just say pending charge or pending balance or whatever. Make sure that it's clear. Call your bank. If you're confused about that, call your bank and say, hey, is this money actually there or is it pending? If it's pending, that means that it could still be reversed. So make sure you got that money. Anyway, cleared for me. Car's gone. It's been gone for a while. So all good. Anyway, quick summary. Cars and Bids, would I use it again? Yeah, I definitely would. I think it's good for enthusiast type cars. I have a couple other cars I'm going to be selling this year. I might put them on there. I've got that Z4 M Coupe I've done a bunch of videos on. I have an Evo. I don't think I'm going to put the Evo on there just because I'm not really in a rush to sell the Evo. But I may put the Z4 on there. That being said, it's probably a good time to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it if you're kind of on the fence. And just keep in mind, I said this already once, but if you're going to do Cars and Bids, try to get all of your information to them as fast as possible, because if it doesn't sell, you have to remember that you took it off the market. You took it off of Auto Trader, eBay, Craigslist, wherever else you had it for sale. You have no chances of selling it anywhere else in the time that you're waiting. So every day that you're waiting for them to approve your listing is a day you could be out where you didn't sell the car if it doesn't sell on Cars and Bids. Like if you have a reserve and it doesn't get met. They will also pressure you into lowering your reserve, because the more cars that they sell, the more money they make, right? So they want you to sell your car cheap, because every transaction that clears is a money maker for them. Anyway, that's it. Comment below, and we'll see you in the next one.